In this real case, a hiker discovers posters of a missing person in a forest. Terrified, he films everything he can, but his story doesn't end there. In this dramatization, we will see how a creepy discovery quickly turns into the worst day of his life. The life of a hiker is not easy. We consider ourselves adventurers, people who want to live life to the limit. We expose ourselves to the wilderness, to wildlife, to the unknown. I have known many colleagues who have run great dangers for different reasons. But no matter how crazy the stories they tell me, none of them experienced what I went through that day. I didn't encounter any wild animals, suffer a dangerous fall, or get lost in the forest. That day, my life was in the hands of another man. That forest was not unlike any other I had ever been in. There were few animals, and I had been that way before. That day, I felt a little more confident than usual. So when I started to cross the forest, I opened up a little more from the route I had taken the previous time. I knew I would remember the trail. I am a very experienced hiker and I know my way in the woods. As I went on, I saw something in the distance that caught my attention. The trees ahead of me had something white in the center. Whether it was my danger spirit or a complete lack of common sense, I approached to investigate. From a distance, I could imagine that what was on the trunks of the trees were papers. What I could not imagine was their nature. I took out my camera and began to film my discovery, not knowing what I was about to find. I grabbed one of the papers and, incredulous, I read it while I felt my body begin to tremble with fear. These were not just papers. They were missing person posters.
What is this?
I continued filming the whole area and discovered that just behind the trees was a tent. Suddenly, my camera ran out of battery and turned off.
Okay, well, that's the signal that I need to get out of here right now. No, I think this is the perfect time for you to stay.
As I turned around, I fell to the ground in shock. A man was standing behind me. The person was not armed. He didn't even have a knife, but something in his look didn't let me react. The man was almost 2.5 meters tall. His body was long, lithe, and intimidating. His long, dirty fingernails moved along with his fingers, waiting for me to make a move to grab me.
You seem to be a very curious boy. Will you accompany me to my camp? Sir, please, let me go. I swear you'll never see me again. Oh, calm down. I'm not even armed. I just want to talk.
More than leaving me alone, this last one made me even more afraid. This person was very confident. I, on the other hand, was terrified. Resting was not an option. Not only did I not know how to fight, but my body was frozen with fear. It was as if I were a mouse being stalked by a bloodthirsty tiger, and he knew it. Without saying anything to him, I listened to him and walked ahead of him toward his camp.
Don't be afraid of me, kid. I'm not a monster. I just suffer from gigantism. You know I won't do anything to you, right? Of course. I believe you.
We both knew the other was lying. Only with his frantic look and his huge smile revealing his few remaining teeth, I could tell that this man was ready to kill me.
All right. Give me your cell phone and your wallet.
Without showing the slightest intention of fighting, I gave him everything.
I have an idea. Frank, have you ever played Truth or Dare? Yes. Well, you know, I was born in Argentina. In my country, we call it truth or consequence. Today, we'll play that. But we can only choose truth. If the bottle points 3 times at me, I'll let you escape. If you lie to me, or if the bottle points 3 times at you, there will be consequences. You can start.
Nervous but obedient, I listened to him and spun the bottle. It was pointed at him.
Ask. You caused those people to disappear? Every one of them. It's my turn. Today is your lucky day. Ask. Are they buried here?
I said with a little more relief, with a tiny hope that he will let me go if the bottle hits him one more time.
How curious you are. No, they are not. If you lose, I'll show you where I buried them. What were you going to do with what you filmed on that camera? Don't lie. I was going to upload it to the internet. Your turn.
I didn't even try to control the spinning. I knew that cheating would cost me my life. But when the bottle stopped on me again, I regretted not having done it.
Maybe you're not so lucky. Let me ask you a question. These are the pictures of your mom and sister, right?
With a mischievous smile, he showed me my own cell phone.
Please don't.
I moved away from the bottle and started crying at his feet.
I beg you, don't hurt them. If you die, who should I kill? Your mom or your sister? No! No! Choose, or I'll kill you now. Just kill me, but don't do this to me. I can't answer that. Choose, or I'll kill both. My mom! I can't believe you actually chose. It's what she would want. So, if you lose, I'll grant her wish. Time to see what luck has in store for you, boy.
As the bottle kept spinning, I closed my eyes. I couldn't see the result. At the psychopath's laughter, I summoned all my energy to open my eyes, and to my surprise, the bottle had been left on his side. Will you let me go?
On one condition.
What?
Use your question. Ask me what would have happened if the bottle had fallen on your side.
His face had changed. The smile had faded, and his eyes denoted a huge contempt and cruelty towards me.
What? What would have happened? I would have jumped immediately to where you are. I would have torn off your clothes and dug my dirty fingernails right into your abdomen. Then I would have cut a hole in your belly with just my hands, and I would have used my few remaining teeth to feast on your organs. But you won. You can leave.
Still terrified, I stood up and started walking. A huge shadow rose behind me and tapped my shoulder.
By the way, I'll keep your wallet and cell phone. I want you to upload your video to the internet. You're welcome to come whenever you want. But if I see a cop here, everything I told you I was going to do to you, I'll do to your sister instead. Do you understand? Yes.
As soon as I said this, the shadow disappeared. I didn't try to check if it was behind me. I just walked, crying, until I reached the road. A few days later, I kept my word and uploaded the video. After that, I sold all my belongings, and with my sister and mother, we left the country. I never told anyone about this, and from that day on, I am still a hiker, but I always go out armed and in big groups. Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the video. If so, please leave a like. And also, a small percentage of people that watch my videos are actually subscribed. If you want to support this channel and make this channel reach the 1 million mark, please consider subscribing. It's free and you can change your mind later. Enjoy.
Vibrate. Đeo ghế đi. Đeo ghế.
During the night, and with the help of a flashlight, A person is approaching an abandoned house in this footage. Once they are close to one of the windows of the place, they see some strange symbols and candles inside. In the next room, they find something much more disturbing. A sheet covering what appears to be a body surrounded by candles. The story you are about to see is a dramatized animated version of this scary found footage.
I understand there are people who don't like horror movies, of course, but I can't live without them. Or, at least, that's how it was before. I was such a fan that I used to watch every horror movie I could find. At first, I did it alone, but then I met Daniel and Anthony, who liked them as much, if not more than me. But over time, we began to stop feeling that adrenaline that we used to enjoy so much. That's when Daniel made us a proposal.
Guys, wouldn't you like us to experience those things ourselves?
What do you mean?
You know, going out, exploring, experiencing paranormal situations. I mean, doesn't that sound great? It really sounds just like what we need.
Yeah, let's do it. That's how we started going to abandoned buildings, basements, attics, cemeteries, and all those places where paranormal events were common. We even used to carry several cameras so we could record in the hope of capturing something interesting. The three of us had a great time together in those creepy places, but now everything is different. After what happened last month, I don't think I'll ever do it again. It was a Saturday morning. Daniel, Anthony, and I planned that exploration weeks earlier, and it was finally the day, which had us quite excited. They arrived at my house, and we stayed there together until nightfall, at which point we got into Daniel's car and headed to the place we were going to visit.
We're almost there!
Sometime after that, my friend started to slow down and finally parked the car on the side of the highway, next to the woods. Soon we all got out, grabbed our backpacks and flashlights, and headed into the forest. At that time, the place was really dark and very cold, but we were as prepared as ever. Still, I started to feel doubtful once we had walked for half an hour and no buildings seemed to be close by.
Daniel, was the place supposed to be so far away? You never told us it would take so long to get there.
Chill out, Jen.
His answer only made me hesitate more.
Are you sure there's a place around here?
Oh my gosh, Jen, yes, of course I am.
If you say so, but...
Guys?
What's wrong, Tony?
I turned to see my friend, who was desperately looking for something in his backpack.
You didn't bring a camera, did you? I'm pretty sure we told you to bring it. I'm sure I did. Maybe I just left it in the car. I'll go find it, okay? Sure. I'll send you the location once we're there. Yeah.
Daniel and I continued walking for a while, until, in the distance, we began to see a structure. It appeared to be a small white house.
It has to be that one. I'll tell Tony.
As we got closer, I noticed more details of the place. Of course, it was dirty and had plants growing on its walls. The window we could see from this side was broken. It looked like most abandoned houses.
Jen?
I didn't turn to look at him as I walked, as I was too focused on the house.
Yeah?
Wait, stop. Tony's not receiving my messages.
What?
Look!
My friend showed me his cell phone, where what he told me was clearly shown, but I didn't think it was a big deal, so I turned back to the house.
Maybe his cell phone has no signal, that's all.
That doesn't make any sense. My cell phone has signal, Jen.
Before I could answer Daniel again, through the window of the house, I saw a shadow move.
Did you see that? It has to be something. Let's go.
Wait, Jen!
Pointing my flashlight at the spot, I started running through the tall grass toward the place. As soon as I saw what was there on the floor, covered by a blanket and surrounded by lighted candles, I backed away.
What the...
My heart started beating fast. In just a few seconds, the situation had completely changed. Those weren't paranormal events. There was something really bad going on here. I was standing a few inches from the house when suddenly something touched my right shoulder, so I couldn't help but let out a scream.
Ah!
What the heck? Did I scare you, Jen?
Realizing it was Daniel didn't reassure me. In fact, I felt in much more danger since I had made noise. Soon, I began to hyperventilate, so I covered my mouth.
Jen? What's wrong?
There's something there.
My friend approached the place. I knew he had seen it the moment he backed away.
Oh my God.
Let's go, Daniel.
Wait, what if someone needs help? We have to report it.
I saw him take out his cell phone from one of his pants pockets, but he put it back in seconds later.
My cell phone has no signal.
My friend started to get closer to the house.
Wait, what are you doing?
Stay there. I'll just see what it is, and then we'll go.
Unable to stop him, I watched as Daniel entered the room. He brought one of his hands to the blanket, but before he could pull it away, a person appeared.
It was a smiling woman. She didn't look young, but she didn't look old either. Her hair was very long, and she was wearing white clothes.
Hi. Do you like what I did? It looks good, doesn't it? I'm sure it will work.
What do you mean? What is this?
I'm sure you guys know that, don't you? After all, you're here.
What the heck are you talking about? Are you out of your mind?
There must be a reason. You wanted to be here. You guys have to know what I'm trying to do. I'll summon someone. I'll bring them back to life.
What do you have here?
My friend, once again, brought one of his hands close to the blanket. Don't touch it! You're gonna ruin everything! Do not touch it! The woman grabbed one of Daniel's arms to try to prevent him from removing the blanket.
Daniel!
Unconsciously, I approached them, although I was still outside the building.
Get away!
In a quick movement, he pushed the woman, who fell to the ground. Being close to Daniel, I could see that she had caused some marks on his arm. Finally, he pulled back the blanket. That's when we saw him. It was Anthony who was under it. His eyes were closed, his skin pale, and he seemed not to be breathing. I still can't remember clearly what happened next. Daniel told me that he and I got far enough away to have a cell phone signal and call the police, but when he returned to the house, the woman was nowhere to be found. A few days later, we went to our friend's funeral, but I still can't believe he's dead. I can't accept that that night we led him straight to his death at the hands of the crazy woman they're still looking for.
We get the hell out of here.
Two people were camping in the woods at night when they heard strange sounds coming from a bush nearby. As they flashed their light in the direction where the sounds were coming from, they see a weird-looking creature coming their way. The story you are about to see is loosely based on this scary, terrifying footage found in the forest. I was sitting on the hospital bed with a heavy bandage wrapped around my head. A doctor came in and asked,
Hi, I'm Dr. Macy Graff. How are you feeling now, Matthew?
A little better. Where's Shelley?
She's still in shock from last night. We had to put her on sedatives so that she could rest. Don't worry, she will be all fine.
Two cops entered my room, and Dr. Graff introduced me to them.
Matthew, these are officers Brad and Carlos. They'll be asking you some questions about last night. If under any circumstances you feel sick or need medical attention, just reach out to that bed switch attached to the stand. A nurse will come immediately, okay?
Yeah, sure. When can I see my sister?
The moment she wakes up, I'll personally come take you to her room, okay?
Thanks, Dr. Graff.
Dr. Graff left me with the two policemen, and they sat on the couch next to my bed. The tallest officer between them looked at me with a caring smile and asked,
Does your head still hurt?
A little.
Matthew, we're here to talk about what happened last night. Can you walk us through it?
Drops of sweat appeared on my forehead as I recalled the most terrifying memory of my life. Yesterday, my sister and I went camping in the woods behind our farmhouse. We came to stay here for a week with our parents. And being two grown-up teenagers, me 17 and Shelley 15, it wasn't our first time going camping in these woods. Shelley and I are both nature lovers, and we love spending our siblings' quality time exploring the wilderness. We separate our duties and create as many exciting memories as we can on such trips. So around 4 p.m, Shelley and I left for our hike, carrying our rucksacks and tents to camp after nightfall. We clicked pictures of some rare birds in the forest, enjoyed our lunch near a beautiful lake, and once it got dark, we camped under a big bushy tree close to that lake. The moon was full, and its magical silver splendor lighted up the night sky. We started building a fire. That's when we heard the rustling of leaves coming from behind. I flashed my light, spotting a bushy tree, and Shelley screamed in fear.
Ah, who is that?
We saw a man standing in the dark wearing nothing but dirty pajamas. He was shaking his head in a very creepy way, like he was trying to get rid of flies. A bad odor came from his body like he hasn't taken a bath in years. Feeling intimidated by this man, I said in a fumbling voice,
Hey, are you all right?
He mumbled without answering my question. Shelley grabbed my arm in fear and whispered,
Why is he acting like that?
Hey, dude, who are you?
Now the man slowly lifted his head and looked at me. I have never seen such a cringe-worthy, expressionless face in my life. His eyes were like the eyes of a dead fish, huge, weirdly sharp. His nose seemed odd too. In a few words, he didn't look normal or sane at all. The man smiled at us real big and spoke for the first time.
Are you guys lost? What? No, we're camping. Hey, is everything all right, man?
He ran his filthy arm all over his chest, looked at the sky, and then said,
I don't feel cold anymore.
Shelley said in a fearful voice.
What are you doing here? And where are the rest of your clothes?
The man looked at her and licked his lips in a very freaky way. He then nodded his head from left to right, like he was saying no, and spoke again in his raspy, snake-like voice.
Why would I need clothes when I am wearing a skin?
What the hell does that mean?
I calmed Shelley down, who was afraid of this man.
Look, we don't want any trouble, so if you...
But the man didn't let me finish. A growling sound came from his stomach, and he said,
Would you mind if I join you? I am hungry.
Shelley prompted in my ears.
There's no way he's joining us. Matthew, tell this man to leave right now.
Relax, just let me talk to him.
I looked at the man, who was still standing like before, watching us without blinking. I don't know what happened, but I just couldn't say no to him. I replied,
Sure, you can join us. We have plenty of food.
What are you doing?
Shelley yelled in a low voice. I told her it would be fine and that she has nothing to worry about. We started to walk back to the camping site, and the man followed. Upon reaching, Shelley built a fire and sat in one corner, grabbing the hunting knife close to her chest. But the man didn't seem intimidated by that. He didn't even look at the knife properly. He was just staring at the night sky and giggling on his own. I put the chicken on the rod to roast it over the fire. The entire time I cooked the chicken, the man made very weird remarks. He asked,
What is that you are burning?
That's a chicken. Haven't you seen one before?
Why are you burning it on fire?
Shelley and I exchanged a surprised look and said,
We're roasting it so we can eat it. Oh, I see.
What's so funny about that?
I bet it would taste much better uncooked.
Now I felt goosebumps on my neck. Shelley didn't speak for seconds, and I realized it was a mistake to invite this guy for dinner. Once the chicken was done, I separated into pieces and gave the man some on a disposable plate. Taking the plate from his hand, he didn't eat the chicken right away. He smelled it like a dog, and then put a little amount into his mouth. As soon as he took the first bite, something awful started to happen to him. He began to get sick, and bile rushed into his system, desperate to come out. The man started to cough and choke, like any minute his insides will come out of his mouth. He grabbed his throat and fell to the ground, trying to breathe desperately. In that coughing voice, he said,
It's coming out! It's coming out!
Matthew, what's happening to him?
I got up in a panic and yelled.
Oh God, what's happening to you?
But the man couldn't speak anymore. He continued coughing, and then big, grimy bile came out of his mouth. Green slime poured like rain from his huge mouth. And then, the ultimate horror took place. An entire rotten mouse came out of his mouth like he devoured the poor animal whole. With a splashing sound, the mouse fell to the ground, and Shelley screamed in horror.
Ah!
She fainted right there, and I was too shocked to speak a single word. After vomiting his bottom out, the man stood up from the ground, shaking uncontrollably. His hands and chest were still dripping with his vomit. Giving a big, toothy grin, he said to me,
Thanks for your hospitality.
And then he ran into the forest at full speed, disappearing into the night. The cops exchanged a suspicious look, and then Officer Carlos asked,
Were you guys doing any drugs?
I heaved a sigh in disappointment because I expected this reaction from them. The cops asked me many more questions, thinking it was all a mistake, a mere hallucination of two teenagers after drinking in the woods. But I can still remember his face, his eyes, even the stinking odor that came from his body. I am not sure what to believe after this encounter.